You are not stuck, you are avoiding one specific feeling. Most people describe themselves as stuck, unmotivated, behind, but stuck is too vague. If you were truly stuck, nothing would move. And that's not what's happening. You're still functioning, you're still thinking, you're still planning, you're still doing things. You're just not doing the one thing you know would actually move your life forward. And that distinction matters. For a long time, I thought I had a discipline problem. I thought I was inconsistent, unfocused, lazy in some way that I hadn't figured out yet. I kept searching for better systems, better routines, better ways to force myself to act. And on the surface, my life looked fine. Nothing had gone wrong. I wasn't failing dramatically, which is exactly why I didn't notice what was really happening. I wasn't stuck. I was avoiding one specific feeling. There was always one action that felt heavier than the rest, one decision I kept circling, one step I constantly thought about but never quite took. And everything around it felt easy by comparison. And I could stay busy all day. Research, organize, think things through. But the time it came to actually take action and act, something subtle internally would happen. And it wasn't fear in the way that people normally talk about fear, just a quiet sort of pressure, a sense of weight. Enough to make waiting feel justified or reasonable. And because waiting didn't hurt immediately, I sort of trusted it. So fear didn't show up as alarm bells. It showed up as timing, as patience. I'll do this when I feel clearer. And I would justify this by telling myself that I was planning properly. I was being strategic. I was being more thoughtful. And each day felt harmless on its own. No consequences, no fallout, just one more day lost. And that's how the fear stayed hidden. It doesn't stop you outright. It just subtly convinces you to postpone yourself. So then the quiet cost isn't obvious at first. Your life doesn't fall apart. You still show up. You still meet expectations with yourself. You still look capable from the outside. Internally, you notice that something starts to erode. Something's not quite right. You begin to trust yourself a little less. Your plans feel less solid. Your contract with yourself feels less binding. You stop expecting follow-through from yourself. Not consciously, but very subtly. Weeks go by where nothing really changes. And then months go by where the progress only really exists in your head. And then you start to measure time differently. And it's not by what you did, but by what you almost did. The idea that you were just so close to starting. That version of yourself that, you were just about to become. And then something got in the way. You got distracted. And then slowly, without anything dramatic happening, the years go by. The years pass. So this is the part that nobody warned you about. None of this announces itself. It doesn't feel like a loss while any of this is happening. It just feels like comfort. It just feels like safety. It feels like you're in control. But all you're really doing is shaping your life around what doesn't trigger that internal resistance. So then what do? You start choosing paths that feel emotionally lighter. Even if you know that they cost you growth. You don't even consider it. And then you just keep your potential theoretical, because making it real would mean finding out where you actually stand and what you actually need to do. So for me, the hardest realization wasn't that I had procrastinated. It was I had postponed becoming myself. I wasn't avoiding work. I was avoiding the feeling that came with doing work that mattered. The feeling of commitment, of exposure, of making something real enough to be judged, even if the only judge was actually just me. And the more I avoided that feeling, the harder it got to face that feeling, and the narrower my life became. So this creates a strange internal split. On one side, there's a version of you that knows what you're capable of. On the other, there's just a version of you that just lives your days. Functional, thoughtful, always preparing. And then the gap is where that quiet shame lives. And it's not loud enough to confront, but it's just this heavy enough in the background to make you tired and wear you out and burn you out. And then you rationalize, you tell yourself you have time, and the fear will agree with you. So what eventually changed for me wasn't motivation or discipline or pushing through or willpower. It was seeing that trade clearly. Comfort now paid with time later. Once I really saw that every delay was costing pieces of my life, that I couldn't get back, waiting stopped feeling neutral. There was no choice. I wasn't waiting. It stopped feeling safe to just wait. And it wasn't because the fear had just vanished. It was suddenly fear was visible. I knew what was at stake. So if you're watching this and you're wondering what to do next, this video isn't a motivational or just push you through willpower video like every other video online. This isn't about pushing harder. It's not about forcing action. Forcing just teaches your nervous system that action is dangerous. The real shift happens when you start to notice the exact moment delay begins to sound intelligent. The moment you start to negotiate with yourself, when the mind starts negotiating and playing back reasons, the moment you notice that subtle weight and choose not to go with it, that's the moment where most lives quietly get decided. And it's just a feeling here. That's all it is. Something that if you cannot be with, that will decide your life. If this feels uncomfortably accurate, that's not a flaw. It means you're close to the real issue. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You've just been protecting yourself from one specific feeling for a very long time. And fear only stays in control as long as it goes unnamed. This channel is about catching that moment before hesitation quietly chooses your future for you.